It's my somber duty to inform you all that just this past week, a living icon in the field of funny books passed from this world and into the eternal ether of legend. A name that pound for pound matches or even excels in such rarefied company as Kirby, Ditko, Wally Wood, Gene Colan, and even international legends such as the almighty Mobius. Bow your heads, RazörForce, as we pay solemn tribute to the man, the myth, John Romita Sr. You ever been acquainted with a handyman who, no matter how far-flung the fucking project, no matter how near-totaled the car, how backed up the toilet, how clogged the drain with 2 1/2 tons of thick Persian chest hair, could roll up his sleeves and, armed with nothing but a tape measure and Marlboro Reds, have that shit back to factory spec for $15 and a Budweiser? Yeah, that was John Romita Sr., an artist so unflaggingly reliable, so workmanlike and professional, you almost outright forget that he may well have been the single most talented interior artist of the entire fucking Silver Age.
And I was a sap my whole life. I was what I call a good soldier. And I said, sure, if you need help, I'll help you out with that. Fully expecting I'll go back to inking after I finish this one Daredevil story. Of course, that lasted 6 months, I think. I did Daredevil, and I started to like it, thanks to Jack Kirby's indoctrination with breakdowns. I did about 6 years. The only thing is you used to sprinkle in a lot of other emergency projects at the time. Captain America, Fantastic Four.
We couldn't have stayed in business without you. Any time there was an emergency, call Romita, you know. And you were always
I was also there in the office, remember.
Yeah.
I was available.
That's absolutely
available
right.
Jones.
Yeah, that's right. Because most of the artists were freelancers. We couldn't get rid of you, though.
Right.
You were always there.
No one was taken for granted with such X-lax regularity as John Romita Sr. This dude was such a soldier, you could ask him to paint a Sistine fucking ceiling. He'd be like, oil paint or fucking fresco, bitch. They do not make men like this anymore. Equal parts artisan and practical professional who nevertheless found no shortage of time to carve a unique, fluid style that with only a fleeting glance even a layman could immediately identify as quintessentially Romita. Without Senior's outlandish inkcraft and bold flowing line work, women in comics wouldn't have been 1/11th as attractive from the 60s onward. Hell, without his scorching sexpot renderings of Gwen Stacy or MJ, we hardly would have known the difference when modern Marvel tried to pass off Kamala Khan or Femthor as anything other than a post-op training nose tackle for the Oakland Raiders. But while Spider-Man made him a superstar, for fans of the Scarlet Swashbuckler such as myself, it was his unflagging dedication to Daredevil that truly elevated him to ineffable status.
So after 6 months, I was in love with Daredevil. And Stan, he asked me, you know, in the 3rd or 4th month, I did a Spider-Man as a guest star. He was trying me out for Spider-Man without my knowledge. So suddenly he comes to me and said, do you think you could do Spider-Man on a monthly basis? And I said, I guess so. But I like to do Daredevil.
You thought Spider-Man would be a temporary job because
sure.
I was afraid to tell you I wanted you permanently because I was afraid you wouldn't want to do it. So I practiced my usual deceitful methods. John, just do one more issue. Oh, come on, one more. We'll find somebody. Don't worry. Before he knew it, it was 6 years.
Can I tell you the things he used to say about you when
How
you came
can I
home?
stop you?
Are we going to get bleeped?
I really hoped I could get back to Daredevil. I wanted to. Somebody had told me that Daredevil's sales had improved while I was on it. And I was feeling great. I was saying, hey, wouldn't it be nice if I could move Daredevil up to be one of the top sellers? But I never had a chance to find out. So that run on Daredevil was like a blissful period of 6 months that I enjoyed myself tremendously. I loved that character. I still to this day think Daredevil's the best character Marvel has.
It truly says something about the man that even with his status thoroughly solidified as the one who made Spider-Man Marvel's Mickey Mouse, he was so much more immersed and creatively fulfilled by the Man Without Fear that he could scarcely tear himself away from the book. In retrospect, this would come to characterize the comic in question. Everyone thereafter, from Gentleman Gene Colan to genre-defining Frank Miller, would author their most profound and personal output on the book in question, and for many a year hence consider the character theirs, an attribute that would come to define all the indescribably excellent Daredevil runs thereafter, and Mark Waid. Difference being, Chads like Romita and Miller were in a sweet, loving relationship with Matt Murdock, whereas Marky Mark was holding him hostage in a bell tower with a high-powered rifle pressed to his temple for 5 fucking years. It's an eternal testament to Romita Sr. that he said more in those 6 months of steadily increasing sales than Waid did in half a damn decade and 2 separate low sales-induced fucking relaunches. And get this! He wasn't even the fucking writer, but he was one of the formative figures in the establishment of the Marvel method, a production philosophy which surrendered unprecedented authorial input to the artist, an arrangement that in retrospect the industry should have arguably adopted from its fucking inception.
Stan didn't have enough time to script all of these things in advance, otherwise he would have. So what he did was he would verbally or quickly dash out a half-a-page plot and send it to the artist. Mostly it was verbal, I think. And the artist then would decide what to make a splash scene and how to introduce the characters and how to unfold the story, which was, at first, terrified me. But almost immediately, maybe in a month or 2, I realized, holy mackerel, this is a much better way to do it. Comics succeeded despite doing it the wrong way. It should have always been done visually.
Beyond his boundlessly talented son, Senior would preside over and advise entire generations of superb sequential artists as art director for Marvel Comics. Yet even well into his 90s, he himself never fucking lost it, providing interiors and even the occasional cover for many a Marvel book long after most comic artists have gone from over the hill to fucking under it. With his passing on to his eternal reward, the Silver Age is, in my eyes, hereby concluded. But the legacy of the almighty Romita is outright eternal. Here lies a fucking titan. Godspeed, Senior. God fucking speed.
This guy would draw a picture that anybody else would have framed, and he'd say, well, it isn't quite right, I'll do it over. In the meantime, I'm waiting for the strip. No, I want to make it better, I'll do it over. And I used to say, your worst drawing is better than anybody else's. Let it go, and you wouldn't do it.
The problem is you were married. See,
Yeah.
if you had been single and then got married while you were working, you would have been faster because the bills would have started piling up.
You know, if I had thought of that, I'd have found some way to bust up that marriage.